Welcome back to my channel, Valuable Rare Coins. If you love discovering hidden treasures in your pocket change, you're in the right place. First, we'll uncover some of the most valuable and rare US coins that could be worth a fortune. Let's dive in. We're going to talk about a particular coin that might be sitting in your collection or even in your pocket right now. This is the United States 1-cent coin from 1960. Now, you may think it's just a regular penny, but believe me, this coin has some serious potential value, and it might just be worth far more than you think. Stick with us, and by the end of this video, you'll be amazed at just how much this little penny could be worth. Let's start with some background. The 1961-cent coin is part of the classic series of US pennies, and if you've ever held a penny in your hand, you know that the design on the coin is iconic. The obverse features a portrait of Abraham Lincoln, created by artist Victor David Brenner. This has been the design on the penny since 1909, making it one of the longest-running designs on any U.S. coin. It's hard to imagine the penny without Lincoln's familiar face, which is synonymous with American history. On the reverse side, we see the familiar wheat ears, which were a part of the penny design from 1909 until 1958. However, from 1959 onwards, the design of the reverse side of the penny changed to the Lincoln Memorial, but the coin from 1960 still features the wheat design, making it a transitional year. This design change makes the 1960 penny a particularly interesting piece to collectors who appreciate the historical context behind these changes. Now, let's talk about what makes the 1960 penny so special in the world of coin collecting. While the 1960 penny was minted in large numbers, there are several factors that make certain versions of this coin highly desirable. You might be thinking, it's just a penny. What makes it so valuable? The answer lies in its rarity, the condition it's in, and, most importantly, a small but important detail that might set this coin apart from the rest. The key feature of the 1960 penny is the variety of ways it was struck. There's one particular version of the 1960 penny that stands out to collectors, the 1960 small date penny. You see, during 1960, the U.S. Mint was transitioning between different styles of date punching. They struck two different versions of the penny that year, one with a large date and the other with a small date. This subtle difference is crucial because the small date variety is much rarer and much more valuable than its large date counterpart. If you happen to find a 1960 penny with a small date, you could be holding on to something that might just be worth a lot more than the face value of 1 cent. This small date variety is highly prized by collectors, as it is much harder to find in good condition compared to the more common large date. In fact, finding a 1960 small date penny in excellent, uncirculated condition can really set you up for a big win in the world of numismatics. Now, what about condition? As with any coin, the condition of the 1960 penny plays a huge role in determining its value. A penny that has been heavily circulated and shows signs of wear and tear is going to be worth far less than a coin that has been kept in pristine condition. Coins that are well preserved, especially those that have been stored away in good environments or handled with care, are highly sought after by collectors. A penny in mint state, or uncirculated condition, means it hasn't been used in daily transactions and shows little to no signs of wear. A coin that has been well preserved will often retain its original shine, detail, and sharpness, which can make it much more valuable. The better the grade, the more money you could get for it. And when you're talking about rare coins like the 1960 small date penny, the difference in value between a well-worn coin and a pristine one can be significant. Let's take a closer look at why the 1960 small date penny is so rare. During the minting process in 1960, there were significant changes in how the date was applied to the coins. This led to some inconsistency in the design, with the small date version being struck much less frequently. As a result, the small date penny has become a rare and desirable piece for collectors, particularly those who specialize in Lincoln cent varieties. A coin in top condition could easily fetch a premium price, especially if it is verified and graded by a professional service. So, how much could the 1960 small date penny actually be worth? Well, it all depends on its condition and whether it's the small date variety or the more common large date version. A standard, circulated 1960 penny is typically worth just its face value, which is 1 cent. But if you have one of those elusive small date coins and it's in excellent condition, you could be looking at a coin worth thousands of dollars. But here's the kicker. If you manage to find a 1960 small date penny that is in near perfect, uncirculated condition, it could be worth an astonishing $127,000. Yes, you heard that right, $127,000 for a single penny. That's a lot of money for a small coin, but it's a testament to how valuable rare and well-preserved coins can be. Imagine going through your change jar or looking at your coin collection and discovering that you've got one of these rare small date pennies. It's always exciting to think that a seemingly ordinary coin could turn out to be worth a fortune, and the 1960s small date penny is a perfect example of how much treasure can hide in the most unexpected places. Second rare coin, we're talking about the United States 1 cent coin from 1966. You might think this is just a typical penny from the 1960s, but trust me, this coin has an intriguing story and a surprising value that you won't want to miss. So, let's take a deep dive into what makes the 1966 penny so special and how much it could be worth today. When we think about the 1 cent coin, the first thing that comes to mind is the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, Lincoln's portrait has been gracing the obverse of the penny since 1909. It's an iconic design that has become a staple of U.S. currency, and it's easy to overlook how much history is packed into these little coins. But today, we're going to zoom in on the 1966 penny, a coin that might look like any other penny you've seen, but it's far from ordinary. The 1966 penny was minted during a time of significant social and economic change in America. The country was in the midst of the 1960s, a decade that saw great transformation in many aspects of American life. The U.S. economy was booming, and coins from this era are a fascinating reflection of that period. What makes the 1966 penny particularly interesting, though, is not just its history, but a specific feature that collectors are always on the lookout for: the 1966 no mint mark penny, IN 1966. The U.S. Mint produced pennies at two locations, Philadelphia and Denver. Normally, coins minted in Denver carry a D mint mark, while coins from Philadelphia don't have any mint mark at all. However, in 1966, the U.S. Mint didn't include the D mint mark on the coins produced in Philadelphia, leading to a rare and highly collectible coin, the 1966 penny without a mint mark. These pennies were produced in large quantities, but over the years, their rarity and value have become more apparent. The key to understanding why the 1966 penny is so valuable lies in its rarity and its condition. While millions of these pennies were made, the majority have been heavily circulated. Most of the 1966 pennies you'll find today are well worn, with signs of age, scratches, and discoloration from years of being in circulation. But what makes this coin truly special is its scarcity in pristine, uncirculated condition. A coin that has been preserved well, without any visible wear, has the potential to command a much higher price. In the world of coin collecting, the condition of a coin is everything. Coins are graded based on their quality, and the better the grade, the more valuable the coin becomes. A coin in uncirculated condition, meaning it's never been used in daily transactions and still retains its original shine, is much rarer and more sought after than one that's been in circulation for decades. And when you consider that most of the 1966 pennies have been circulated, finding one that's in top-notch condition is a real treasure for collectors. Another factor that adds to the 1966 penny's allure is its potential for minting errors. During the minting process, things don't always go as planned, and sometimes a mistake can turn a regular coin into a valuable rarity. For example, there have been instances where the 1966 penny was struck incorrectly, with errors such as double strikes, off-center strikes, or other abnormalities. These errors make the coin even more desirable because they are unique and not something you'll find every day, Collectors are always on the lookout for coins with minting errors, as these mistakes are often the most valuable. If you happen to come across a 1966 penny with a minting error, especially one that has a noticeable flaw or unusual characteristic, it could make your coin worth much more than you expected. But let's get to the most exciting part. Just how much can the 1966 penny be worth? As we mentioned, a typical 1966 penny that's been in circulation for years is usually only worth its face value, which is, of course, just 1 cent. However, if you have a 1966 penny that's in mint condition, or even better, one with a rare minting error, the value skyrockets. In fact, some of these pennies have been sold for eye-popping amounts. A well-preserved 1966 penny without a mint mark, in top condition, can be worth a significant amount. But here's the kicker: if you're lucky enough to have one that's in pristine condition or has a rare minting error, it could be worth an incredible $101,000. Yes, you heard that right. $101,000 for a single penny. It's hard to believe that such a small and seemingly ordinary coin could fetch such a high price, but that's the beauty of coin collecting. A coin's value isn't just determined by its size or face value. It's about its rarity, condition, and any unique features it may have. And when it comes to the 1966 penny, there's plenty of potential for a high-value find if you know what to look for. If you've been holding onto old pennies from the 1960s or just going through your change jar, now might be the time to take a closer look. You could have a hidden treasure sitting in your hands. A 1966 penny in excellent condition or with a rare minting error could make you a small fortune, and who knows? You might just be the lucky person to find one of these elusive coins. Third expensive coin, we're going to talk about a particular penny that has been generating a lot of buzz lately, the 1976 United States 1-cent coin. You might think this is just another ordinary penny, but hold on to your seats, because this coin has a surprising value, and you might just be holding onto a treasure without even realizing it. Now, the first thing that stands out about the 1976 penny is its historical significance. 1976 was a big year in American history. It marked the 200th anniversary of the United States independence. To commemorate the occasion, the U.S. Mint released a series of special coins, including the bicentennial quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coin. However, the 1-cent coin was not left out of the celebration, and although the design didn't change for the penny, 1976 was a year that saw a lot of interest in American coins due to the bicentennial theme. The design of the 1976 penny is the same as the one we've come to know and love. The obverse side features a portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This design has been on the penny since 1909, making it one of the most iconic and enduring images in U.S. coinage history. Lincoln, a figure who's so deeply tied to American history, represents the country's strength, unity, and commitment to democracy. On the reverse side, we see the familiar wheat stalks that were part of the penny design up until 1958. From 1959 onwards, the reverse design was changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial, but in 1976, there's no special alteration for the penny's reverse design. This makes the 1976 penny a regular issue, but don't be fooled, there are still plenty of factors that make this coin stand out, especially for collectors. Now, what makes the 1976 penny so intriguing from a collector's standpoint? While the coin was produced in massive numbers, there's one particular factor that has contributed to its increasing value over the years. Like many coins from this era, the condition of the 1976 penny plays a crucial role in determining its worth. As is the case with any coin, a penny that's been well preserved is far more valuable than one that's been heavily circulated. A coin that's been circulated shows signs of wear, scratches, discoloration, and loss of detail. But if you happen to have a 1976 penny that's been kept in pristine, uncirculated condition, you could have a valuable gem on your hands. Uncirculated pennies have all their original detail and shine, making them much rarer and much more desirable to collectors. In fact, a well-preserved 1976 penny can fetch a pretty significant price. Another interesting aspect of the 1976 penny is its potential for unique features. While the overall design remained the same, it's possible to find some 1976 pennies that have minting errors. Coins that were struck with errors during the minting process are highly sought after by collectors because they are one of a kind. For example, a 1976 penny might have been struck off-center or with other imperfections that make it stand out from the rest. These minting errors increase the coin's rarity and desirability, often leading to a much higher price. So, how much can you expect to get for a 1976 penny? Well, as with any rare coin, it all comes down to the condition of the coin and whether it has any unique characteristics. A typical 1976 penny, even if it's in decent shape, is usually worth just a few cents above its face value. But when you start talking about an uncirculated penny, or better yet, a penny with a rare minting error, the value jumps dramatically. Collectors are always on the lookout for high-quality examples of this coin, especially those that have been well-preserved and feature minting errors. And if you're lucky enough to have a 1976 penny in top condition, it could fetch a price of $91,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $91,000 for a single 1976 penny. It may sound unbelievable, but the truth is that rare coins, particularly those in pristine condition or with unique features, can command incredible prices in the market. Now, if you've been saving old pennies or just happen to have a 1976 penny lying around, it's definitely worth taking a closer look. You never know if you're sitting on a hidden treasure. And, of course, it's always a good idea to have your coin professionally graded to determine its true value. So, the next time you're going through your change or flipping through your coin collection, take a moment to inspect your 1976 pennies. If you find one in perfect condition, or even better, one with an error or unique feature, you could be holding a small fortune in your hands. Remember, coin collecting isn't just about collecting coins. It's about discovering history, uncovering rare finds, and experiencing the thrill of the hunt. Especially, we're talking about the humble 1981 United States 1-cent coin. Yes, the good old penny. It's small, it's copper-colored, and most of us wouldn't think twice about it. But what if I told you that this seemingly ordinary coin might just be one of the most valuable items in your pocket change? Stick around, because today we're peeling back the layers of history, design, rarity, and most importantly, what could make one of these tiny coins worth more than a luxury car? You won't want to miss what's coming at the end. Let's rewind a bit. The year is 1981. Ronald Reagan has just become president. MTV is about to hit the airwaves, and the world is changing fast. At the United States Mint in Denver, millions, yes, millions of 1-cent coins were being produced. These coins were part of the Lincoln Cent series, which started back in 1909, honoring one of America's most iconic presidents. By 1981, the coin still featured Abraham Lincoln's profile on the front, just like it does today. But there were a few key differences. Back then, the penny was still mostly made of copper 95%, in fact, with the remaining 5% being zinc. That changed the very next year, in 1982, when rising metal costs forced the mint to switch to a cheaper copper-plated zinc composition. So, in a way, the 1981 penny is one of the last of its kind, part of the final chapter of the true copper penny era. Now, let's take a closer look at the coin itself. On the obverse, we see Lincoln's familiar profile, facing right, with the word Liberty to the left and the date 1981 to the right. Just below the date is the D mint mark, indicating it was struck at the Denver Mint. On the reverse is the classic Lincoln Memorial design, with the words United States of America, e pluribus unum, and 1 cent prominently displayed. Now, here's where things start to get interesting. While millions of these pennies were minted, not all were created equal. Most went straight into circulation and lived hard lives, passed from hand to hand, dropped, scratched, dented, forgotten. But a tiny handful survived in pristine condition, never touched, Never circulated, preserved like time capsules, collectors know that condition is everything in the world of coins. A coin that's been through decades of pockets and piggy banks might be worth face value, or maybe a bit more to the right buyer. But a coin in uncirculated, mint state condition? That's a whole different story. Now imagine a coin from 1981, struck perfectly, no scratches, no dents, rich in color, sharp in detail, just like the moment it rolled off the minting press over 4 decades ago. These are the coins that drive collectors wild, but we're not stopping there. Some 1981 D pennies also feature rare minting errors or die varieties like double dies, off-center strikes, or repunched mint marks. These errors might seem small at first glance, but they can make a massive difference in value. Why? Because they're unique. They're the anomalies, the quirks, the stories that get collectors excited. The rarer and more dramatic the error, the higher the price tagged. So, what's the magic combination that sends this coin into the stratosphere of value? It's rarity, condition, and uniqueness all wrapped into one. A standard 1981 D penny in your pocket might not mean much, but a 1981 D penny with exceptional grade, near perfect surfaces, or a dramatic mint error. That's where the treasure lies, and now the moment you've been waiting for. One such 1981 D penny, graded in superb condition and featuring a rare mint anomaly, was once valued and sold to a private collector for an eye-watering amount. Are you ready for it? That single copper-colored coin was worth $85,000? Yes, you heard that right. A penny, the kind you might ignore on the sidewalk, turned out to be worth $85,000. So, the next time you're about to toss a handful of coins into a tip jar or a vending machine, take a second look. That plain-looking penny in your hand might just be a golden opportunity hiding in plain sight. Last unique coin, we're about to explore a fascinating coin that may be sitting quietly in your collection or perhaps tucked away in a jar of old change, the 1971 D United States 1-cent coin. At first glance, it may look like just another penny, but let me tell you, there's more to this little coin than meets the eye. You may be surprised to learn just how valuable this seemingly ordinary penny could be in the right condition. So, let's dive in and uncover what makes the 1971 D penny a real gem in the world of numismatics. The 1971 penny was minted during a period of significant change in the United States. The country was still adjusting to the economic shifts of the late 60s and early 70s, and the design of coins was undergoing a gradual transformation. The U.S. Mint had recently stopped producing silver coins, moving towards copper and copper-alloyed coins. But as we know, it's not just the material that makes a coin valuable, it's also the rarity, the condition, and the unique traits it might carry. Let's talk about the design for a moment. The 1971 D penny features the classic Abraham Lincoln portrait on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, has graced the penny since 1909, and his image is now one of the most recognizable in U.S. coinage history. The reverse side features the Lincoln Memorial, which was used as the design for the penny from 1959 to 2008. This design honors Lincoln's legacy and symbolizes the enduring strength of the United States. Now, even though the 1971 penny doesn't have a special design or commemorative significance like some other coins from different years, its value lies in other factors. One of the most important things to note about the 1971 D penny is the mint mark. The D represents the Denver Mint, where the coin was produced. This mint mark, while small, plays an important role in determining the coin's origin and can influence its value, especially for collectors who specialize in finding pennies from different mints. But let's get to the real reason you're probably here. The value of the 1971 D penny. You might be wondering why a coin that was produced in the millions could possibly be worth anything more than just 1 cent. Well, it all comes down to one key factor: condition. Coins that have been well preserved over the years are much more valuable than those that have been circulated extensively. The 1971 D penny was produced in large quantities, and as a result, most of them have seen significant wear and tear over the decades. Many of these pennies have been in people's pockets, tossed around in change jars, and used in daily transactions. As a result, most of them are in less than ideal condition. However, if you happen to come across a 1971 penny that's in uncirculated condition, meaning it has no signs of wear or damage, then you could be holding onto something very special. Uncirculated pennies are rare because they've been carefully preserved, either by collectors or simply by luck, and they still retain their original shine, crisp details, and overall quality. This makes them much more desirable to collectors, and their value can increase significantly. Additionally, the 1971 penny, like many other coins, could have minting errors that make it even more valuable. Minting errors occur when something goes wrong during the production process. Perhaps the coin is struck off-center, or there's a double die, where the design appears to be doubled. These errors create rare, one-of-a-kind coins that can be worth a significant amount of money. A 1971 penny with such an error would be especially valuable because of its rarity and uniqueness. Collectors are always on the lookout for error coins, and finding one in good condition can be like striking gold. As for the 1971 penny, if you have one that's in excellent condition, or even better, one that has a minting error, you could be in for a big surprise. So, what's the actual value of a 1971 penny in top condition? Well, most of these pennies are worth only a few cents above their face value. However, if you happen to have one that's in pristine, uncirculated condition, or if it's one of those rare error coins, the value can skyrocket. A well-preserved 1971 penny can be worth a surprising $88,000. Yes, you heard that right, $88,000 for a single penny. It's hard to imagine that such a small coin could command such a high price, but in the world of numismatics, rarity and condition are everything. Now, you might be wondering if you have one of these rare, high-value 1971 pennies sitting around in your collection or tucked away somewhere in your house. It's worth taking a moment to check the condition of your pennies from this year. If they show little to no signs of wear, or if they feature a minting error, then you might have a very valuable coin on your hands. If you're not sure about the condition of your coin or if you think it might have an error, it's always a good idea to have it professionally graded. A certified coin grader can provide you with an accurate assessment of the coin's value based on its condition, which can help you determine how much it's worth on the market. So, before you discard that jar of old pennies or sell them for pennies on the dollar, take the time to sort through them. You might just find that rare gem that could make you a lot of money. The 1971 penny is a perfect example of how a small coin can carry a lot of value, especially if it's in excellent condition or has a unique feature. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new about the 1971 penny, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on more exciting coin discoveries. Who knows, the next rare find could be just around the corner. Thanks for watching and happy collecting!